Welcome to this video documentation of 108 sun salutations in 108 days, more or less. So first things first, please do not try this yourself unless you have a consistent yoga practice or you have a yoga teacher that can guide you through the process. Everyone's body is very different, and with over 100 back bends a day, it may not be beneficial to undertake this kind of challenge at the moment for your body. So for a bit of background, in October 2021, myself and two other co-yoga teachers were planning a workshop called the 108 Sun Salutation Challenge. It did what it said on the can, so over a few hours, along with the participants, we would complete 108 sun salutations together in 4 different styles of yoga. To prepare, we decided it would be a good personal challenge to try doing 108 sun salutations for 108 days, which seemed like a crazy idea at the time, but I decided just to go for it and see what happened. This is the journey of those sun salutations. Luckily, I found the setting on my camera where the videos can speed up. So from here, I'll tell you a little bit about my experience while you're watching. I've been teaching yoga for over 15 years. Like many other teachers, I'm not a textbook Western yoga teacher at all. The style of the classes that I do are much more gentle. They explore different ways of moving the body, a lot of observation and mantra chanting and breathing techniques. And this also goes for my own practice. It's never really intense, and I certainly can't put my legs around my neck. I'm a real advocate for lifelong yoga practice. When I did my first training course in Nepal, we finished our graduation with 108 sun salutations, a practice that I also carried forwards to do in the trainings that I run. And thinking back, I remember believing that I was either going to die or reach some kind of altered state of consciousness. And by the end, I was neither enlightened nor dead. I was just really sweaty, but it felt like a huge achievement doing those 108 sun salutations with everybody breathing together, moving together. I was slightly apprehensive about whether I would be able to do that every single day for 108 days. But I didn't put any pressure on myself. If it wasn't going to be, it wasn't going to be. I'd just see how many days I could do it for, and if I needed to stop, then I would stop. There was a couple of occasions that my partner also joined in for, I think, 54 of the 108, a couple of the days, which was really nice to do it with somebody else as part of the experiment, to explore the difference between being in that internalized state of doing it by yourself and that externalized state of being with somebody else and moving and breathing in time with them and having a laugh when it was getting difficult and spurring each other on. So that was really amazing to try it with somebody else too. So you'll probably notice that the background changes a lot through this video. That is because we just moved to France from England pretty much at the exact time that we started the 108 Sun Salutations challenge. So we didn't have anywhere to live and we were changing locations. Eventually we moved into our new apartment, which went from an empty shell into a somewhat cozy home, and you'll also see that transformation through this video as well. The first few days of Sun Salutations were in a small studio apartment, which is why it's pitch black at the beginning, because I couldn't turn the light on in the morning. I was doing these 108 Sun Salutations before teaching the morning yoga class, and so I was making sure to get up an hour and a half earlier just to give myself enough time if I needed to. And at this beginning point, it was taking about 80 to 90 minutes to complete the full 108 cycles. I was also experimenting with what worked in terms of concentration too. So I did some of them in silence and some of them were with mantras and calm music, and some of them, when I needed a little bit more energy, I would do to some of my favourite hip hop tracks, just to give that little boost in the morning for these first weeks, and just to play around with what worked, what didn't work, what gave me good motivation to go forwards. It was probably around the middle of the second week that I started to feel it quite a lot in my knees, which I was a bit concerned about because yoga was one of the big factors that helped me to heal my knees. I used to have problems with them as a teenager, so I didn't want yoga to be a factor in my knees deteriorating at all. So I switched from classical Hatha Sun Salutations to more of gentle Vinyasa style Sun Salutations, and just stuck a knee support on to make sure that there wasn't too much pressure on the knees. But eventually that completely fixed itself after just taking it really slow and making sure that I was wearing that knee support every time. If I'd felt like it was going to damage my knees at all, then I would have just stopped. So here we're in a new location. We'd moved into the city centre, into a really nice Airbnb, and I'd managed to find a place to put the phone up. And at this point I think it was getting a lot easier. The actual Sun Salutation workshop, the 108 challenge, was so inspiring. The participants were brilliant, and we all had a really good time flowing together and challenging ourselves in two ways. There was the challenge of working towards completing the 108 Sun Salutations, and there was the other challenge, which was more of a mental challenge of recognizing if we needed to stop and not push ourselves to try to get to that 108, and maybe just getting to 30 or 50 or 70 was enough. What are Sun Salutations, and why do we do Sun Salutations? It can be traced back as far as the Vedic period in India, which is a long time ago. But in the West, we received Sun Salutations around the same time as we received most of our modern Hatha Yoga practices, which was around the 1930s. It's usually done and performed with some kind of mantra to worship the different sun gods, or the sun as these gods, so saluting the power and energy of the sun. So Sun Salutations are a form of yoga asana flow, so you're moving one posture into the other posture, with the breath also moving from the inhale to the exhale in a flowing way. The same as your body's flowing, the breath is flowing, and usually you're doing one breath and one move. Classically, the Sun Salutations consist of 12 postures. That's in the normal Hatha classical practice of Sun Salutations, and each one of those postures has its own mantra that goes along with the movement of the posture. However, nowadays we have many different variations of Sun Salutations. I also think it would be nice to talk a little bit about the reason behind practicing Surya Namaskar and the benefits that it can bring to you in your daily practice. Even if you just do 2 or 3 rounds in the morning, it can bring so many amazing benefits. So first of all, of course, as any yoga asana practice does, it helps to promote strength and flexibility in your body. The Sun Salutations routine is really designed to give you a full body conditioning. So although there's no specific twists, you can add them in if you want to, but it's more just to open your body up, open your shoulders, open your chest, lengthen your spine, lengthen the backs of your legs. It's a really brilliant practice in the morning to do, just to wake up the body. When you practice slowly, you can really start to notice and feel what's going on in your body this morning. What does it need? Does it need to stay a little bit longer in a forward fold? Does it need to stay a bit longer in cobra pose? So that's why it's so beneficial. It's a way to start the day, it's a way to open up your body, and it's a way to feel energized before you go forward in your day. The physical purpose of Surya Namaskar is vast. It increases your circulation, your energy. It's really great at revitalizing. That's why it's so amazing to practice it in the morning. It's also a brilliant way to strengthen, tone, and lengthen your muscles, tendons, and ligaments, which general asana practice also does this, but the way that Surya Namaskar is designed helps you to get that full body stretch and full body strengthen as well. On an emotional level, personally for me, is a really amazing way to clear out any unsupportive emotions. You can just get into a real flow of doing it because your body understands, okay, this is the next posture, this is the next posture, this is the next posture. After you've done a few cycles of the Sun Salutations and you get that motion in your body, breathing and that breath flowing with the movement of the body is really healing on an emotional level and also a mental level. Of course, you're in a moving mantra or a moving meditation. You've got one cycle that you're focusing on, and so it allows the mind to come into a single pointed focus on just doing this move, then this move, then this move. So it allows you to be really present with your body and really present with the flow of the movement. Often when we have new yoga postures or yoga postures that flow or move in a way that we're not used to, we have a lot of attention moving towards understanding, okay, this limb needs to go here, this muscle needs to activate, and all of those things are places that the mind needs to go to in order to keep the body safe. Once we practice something over and over again, like Sun Salutations, the body gets into its muscle memory how to do that specific movement, and it becomes a really safe thing to do. So your mind doesn't need to be so much on each individual posture and transition, but it can be more in that meditative flow of repeating and repeating and repeating, and it allows the mind to focus just on the cycle of movement rather than each specific movement. On a spiritual level, it's a practice of respect and honor. So at the beginning of every Sun Salutation, there's usually a prayer or a moment of gratitude for the sun, or a mantra that's sung in honor and respect to the sun, to the gods of the sun, or the sun as a god, and the illuminating power that the sun has in yoga, that centralized force, giving us the vitality that we have, allowing us to have this life, and also paying respect and honoring our body and how it can move and generate heat from the inside as well, so our small internal sun. Sun Salutations is also a fantastic way of grounding, centering, practicing gratitude, being thankful and appreciative of your own cycles as you move through these cycles of gratitude and appreciation to the sun. So even if you're just doing a few cycles of Sun Salutations every morning, it gives you that practice of gratitude every single day, like a rehearsal every morning of appreciation for yourself, for the sun, for the earth, for evolution, and for you being here and being alive. Sun Salutations are also fantastic for improving digestion and metabolism, boosting the metabolism in the morning, because you are actively stretching and compressing the organs in the body that are mainly around the stomach area as well, the stomach and the intestines. You're doing lots of forward folds, back bends, forward bends, upside down, so you're moving and activating that area of the body to start that internal fire going. Naturally, it's really good for your heart because it's a cardiovascular exercise as well as a flexibility and strengthening exercise. And as I mentioned before, it's just fantastic for the circulatory system that the blood is moving and flowing as you're moving. It's going to all of the muscles, the organs and the limbs that need it, and it's also great lubrication for the joints. But also the breath practice as part of the Surya Namaskar flow, you're inhaling and exhaling long, deep, even breaths, and that focus on the breath is also brilliant for the circulatory system and the ventilation of the lungs. It's also stimulating you on a full body level for the nervous system. So the movements are full body movements. You're not isolating necessarily one part at a time. You're stretching the whole body, folding the whole body, lifting the whole body. So it's working on the nerves, the muscles, the organs. Every single sun salutation that you do is like a full body massage. It's moving the entire vessel of the physical body. It's just an overall general fantastic way of detoxifying everything from the physical level all the way up to the spiritual level. At this point, I was taking slightly longer than usual to complete the sun salutations, and sometimes on some days I would split them in half, so I would only manage to do half the sun salutations before teaching in the morning, and then would do the other half later in the day. And eventually we discovered that the cause of that fatigue was that I was pregnant. So I had a good think about what to do and decided to carry on, but listen really carefully to my body and what it needed. So if I needed to have a day off, then I would, and if I couldn't complete all of the 108 in one day, then I wouldn't feel bad about it, I wouldn't put any pressure on myself, and I'd just go slower. And if I really needed to, then I would stop. So here the scene changes again, and it was definitely a big challenge doing the sun salutations in this period. I was absolutely freezing. It was below 0 degrees and we were staying in a little Airbnb, and I was also tired and had morning sickness which was lasting all day, so I was taking it at a very gentle pace through this time, which obviously you can't see from these clips because they're in super speed, but if they were at regular speed you'd see that everything's going much slower. I was taking more breaks in child's pose and I was having a lot more pauses to drink water. What was interesting about this was doing the sun salutations and teaching classes were the moments in the day where I felt the best. So I had the least amount of nausea, I felt more energized, and then between these times, between doing the sun salutations and teaching classes, I would be just exhausted. Through the whole period of those 108 days and a bit more, there were definitely some days that I didn't want to wake up and do the sun salutations, especially on the days when I had morning sickness or I felt really tired, or the days after we'd been moving furniture or unpacking or taking our rucksacks from one Airbnb to the other Airbnb. But like I said, it was always surprising to find out when I was doing them, and after I'd been doing them I always felt much better or felt really great. And this of course was a good mixture of endorphins and being really focused on one thing and really present in that thing. And that's why I would strongly encourage everyone to have some kind of practice in the morning when they wake up, even if it's just 10 minutes of yoga or a stretch or a jog around the block or a little bit of circuit training, whatever it is that you are drawn to do, what you feel good doing in your body. When you wake up, sometimes it feels like it's the last thing you want to do, but afterwards you always appreciate that you made the effort to do it. So that's another reason why I wanted to make this document of this time doing the 108 sun salutations. I think basically for the first half, so for the first 54 days, I was constantly with some kind of muscle, not pain, but I could feel my muscles. It wasn't until after the halfway point that I started just to get really into doing it, and it was part of the routine then, my morning routine. I'd wake up, I wouldn't feel like it was something that I was forcing myself to do. It was definitely something that I felt like I'd gotten really used to and I was looking forward to doing in the morning, and I didn't feel physically exhausted afterwards. It was more gaining energy rather than losing energy eventually after that halfway point. Overall, and in conclusion, I think it was just an amazing experience. I, of course, wouldn't recommend you to do this straight away if you haven't got a regular yoga practice. But doing something consistent like this, even if it's just doing 3 or 4 sun salutations every morning and seeing if you can do that for 10 days and then 20 days and then 30 days, the human body just never fails to amaze and impress me. How it's capable of just adopting and adapting to so many different demands that we put on it all the time. And it really helps you to develop that practice of gratitude for your physical body and what it can do, as well as all the other amazing benefits that Sun Salutations brings with it. To be sincere, in terms of physical transformation, there wasn't really any visible difference, nothing aesthetically from the outside. I didn't get the 6-pack, I still can't put my legs around my neck, I didn't develop any magic powers. However, what I did notice was that about halfway through, my body got used to the routine and the muscle pain went away. And on a mental level, I think it had a big impact when I pushed through those moments of feeling like I couldn't do it. And it was a real gift to have that consistency, to feel that my body was used to the rhythm and the flow, and I was enjoying waking up earlier, and saw that I was much more productive throughout the day as well. So this is why I'd really promote any type of consistent practice where you're waking up, stretching, moving, breathing, doing something with your body before you go into your day. So if you've made it this far, thank you for watching, and I hope this has inspired you to do your own sun salutation practice, even if it's just a few a day, or at least to discover more about the sun salutations and their many benefits for your overall health. If you are interested in designing your own sun salutation practice, then there's a link in the description for some free downloadable resources to help you plan for and start practicing your own sun salutation routine. And if you have any questions, then please reach out in the comments or through the website link. Thank you again for watching all the way to the end, and I hope that whatever you're doing, you love it and do it with your whole heart.